There are a lot of optional boss battles in games, but outside the FromSoftware offering, where most bosses are intentionally hard, few leave us wanting to rip our own hair out and throw our controllers across the room.
As someone who prefers not to be challenged too much in games, when I defeat a difficult optional boss in a game I love, where my OCD will not allow me to leave the boss undefeated, I can't help but feel a strong sense of accomplishment, especially when a trophy or achievement pops.
Most of the time, how difficult these boss battles are seem out of place compared to the difficulty level of the rest of the game in which they are featured. Consequently, they stick out in our minds as being a shock to the system and a royal pain in the backside.
For this list, we will only be including boss battles that are optional or post-game, and therefore excluding difficult bosses that are encountered as part of a game's main story. In light of this, please be aware of major spoilers for the following games.
So here we go, here's our list of the top 5 most difficult optional boss battles in video games.
Yeah? It's me, Prince.
In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, there are a lot of legendary animals and mythical creatures that you can hunt down and defeat as part of the countless optional missions you can undertake throughout your journey. The one that sticks out in my mind as having a noticeable difficulty spike is Medusa. This mythical boss battle is quite hectic because Medusa has a protective shield, the power to blink from one location to another instantly, the ability to summon minions, the skill to make fire rain down on you, and of course the ability to temporarily turn you to stone with her ray beam. To confront Medusa, you first need to complete the quest Romancing the Stone Garden, and it is wise that you and your equipment are at least level 50 before considering this boss battle. Make sure you have the skill to refresh your HP, because you really have to be quick on the draw, be responsive, know the controls very well, and have the right skills equipped. You have to always be on the move, whilst somehow always taking cover behind stone pillars so you don't get turned to stone, taking shots at Medusa when the short window of opportunity present themselves, whilst dodging fire from above and defeating the many summoned enemies that surround you. The melee combat abilities you equip come down to personal preference, but it is a good idea to have skills equipped that can push back the many enemies that surround you to allow you to have some breathing space sometimes. The shield breaker skill is also advisable, since some of the summoned foes have pesky shields that you need to break through before you can inflict damage. I would make sure you have fully upgraded archery and have also taken advantage of the engravings mechanic to give your weapons that extra boost. One thing's for sure, when Medusa falls to the ground you want to rain hell down on her while you have the chance and inflict maximum damage.
We tread the snowy wilderness of Skyrim for our next entry. Anyone who's ever played this game knows that the enemies are not really all that hard, save for a few different enemy types such as the Draugr Deathlords and the Dragon Priests. In my opinion, there are only 3 enemies that will really test your skills. One is the Ebony Warrior, the other is the Reaper, but for this entry we're going to the Ashy Island of Solstheim for a guy who will really put the fuss in your Rodar, Karstaag. For players of Morrowind, this guy is something of an Easter egg, as he featured in the Blood Moon expansion for that game, but in Skyrim, set 200 years later, he's nothing but a ghost. And this guy isn't an easy person to unlock, never mind fight. First you have to travel through Glacial Cave and retrieve his skull, which you can find buried in a wall of ice. Once you have his remains, you head to Castle Karstaag ruins, which can either be entered through picking the master level lock, or by traversing through Castle Karstaag caverns, dealing with the Reitlings in the way to place his skull on the throne. So what makes him so difficult, you might be wondering? Well, once this skull is placed on his throne, the ground will begin to shake and a spectral Karstaag will appear, looking like a frost giant from the Dawnguard DLC. And he's not an easy opponent. According to the Skyrim wiki, this guy is said to be at level 90, and very few people ever level their Dragonborn that high up, so for anyone who stumbles across this guy, they are going to be creamed pretty quickly. His attack styles are similar to giants, club attacks using fists and heavy stomps, though these inflict a lot more damage than a regular giant. His stomp attack is also strong enough to throw you across the room. He also has a permanent frost cloak that inflicts a lot of frost damage if you get too close, draining you of stamina, which can affect power attacks, or even slowing down time with a bow. His stomps can also throw up a blizzard. Naturally, he is immune to frost attacks, but he's also immune to poison and paralysis, has a 75% resistance to shock attacks, and only has a slight weakness to fire. Once he begins to take any form of damage, he'll summon 3 ice wraiths to assist him. He also regenerates health very quickly, so you can't slowly whittle his health down. There are a few exploits you can use to counter his health regen, but you better make sure you're ready when you want to face him. But the reward is pretty unique once you do defeat him. You gain the Summon Karstaag spell, which will allow you to summon him, but only 3 times, so be careful how you use it. He also drops 10 pieces of ectoplasm and 5 grand soul gems, but like I said, if you want to fight this guy, make sure you've got plenty of potions, armor and weapons. You're gonna need them.
For those that are remotely familiar with this channel, you will know what a massive Nino Kuni Wrath of the White Witch fangirl I am. In this game there are so many moments that have huge difficulty spikes, which often comes hand in hand with very challenging boss battles, no doubt due to the new availability of certain game-changing XP exploits, of which I have uploaded demonstration videos about. The one boss battle that is the biggest challenge in the entire game is the post-game Guardian of Worlds, not only due to how powerful he is, but also due to what you have to actually do to be able to confront him in the first place. Before the battle with the Guardian becomes available, you must complete the post-game The Conductor questline, which consists of 15 separate bounty hunts under the umbrella of Errand 131, where powerful enemies spawn from rifts that appear all over the world. The Guardian of Worlds has no specific weaknesses, so you must ensure your entire party is maxed out at level 99, has the very best equipment they can have, and spam the Guardian with the most powerful spells you have in your arsenal. Ideally, even Star and Astra. The Guardian has some devastating attacks if you're not prepared, primarily a trick called the Great Divider, which can deplete your HP in a single hit if you do not time your defense correctly. It's important to make sure that you have a firm grasp of all the battle system mechanics and have a lot of HP and MP restoring items. Defeating the Guardian of Worlds has a number of perks. Firstly, by winning the battle you unlock the King of the World trophy. Secondly, you get rewarded with the Filmmobile, which is a new novel way to travel around and, although is tricky to control at first, is a lot faster than walking. And finally, the Guardian has some very useful item drops, particularly for those looking for those rare Scrolls of Truth and Collider Stones to gain the Alchemy Trophy. However, my advice would be to farm these in the Glittering Grotto, which is much easier and faster than facing the Guardian over and over again, hoping he drops the items you need.
Take caution, lads. A Valkyrie in the flesh. I can't think of a more formidable opponent.
The Valkyries in God of War become quite infamous for their difficulty, because they are truly formidable foes. The Valkyries are fast and fierce and will completely destroy you if you enter the battles unprepared, and by this I mean they will literally stomp on your face. This entry is kind of cheating because rather than just listing the Valkyrie Queen Sigrun, I want to have all 9 Valkyries on this list, including Sigrun, because they are all very challenging. I actually struggled more trying to defeat Gondel in the fiery realm of Muspelheim than Sigrun. The Valkyries can be found in hidden chambers dotted around the world that you gain access to as the story progresses. The Valkyries themselves are optional, but you do get some great armour for defeating them all. The first time I faced a Valkyrie, I just happened by one and got completely owned. There is so much information out there on the best gear and tactics for defeating Valkyries, but I have found that the best way is to max out Kratos' runic attack stat as much as possible, make sure you have a resurrection stone available, and equip the Talisman of Unbound Potential. The Talisman of Unbound Potential is fantastic when facing Valkyries because it refreshes all runic attacks. Wrath of the Frost Ancient is a great runic attack to initially inflict a lot of damage when the battle begins and the Valkyrie is stationary, but which runic attacks and runic summons you choose is entirely your decision and depends on your playstyle. Note that some runic attacks are stronger than others, and 2 of the strongest ones can be gained in Niflheim.
Anise the Witch is an optional post-game boss battle in the Trials of Mana remaster, and the reason this battle is so challenging is because there is a trophy called Chosen One for defeating her on hard mode, and I have to be honest here, this is one of the most difficult, chaotic boss battles I have ever completed.
This boss is level 75 in the game, and in order to stay alive you cannot stay still for even a moment. You must continually run around the battlefield killing minions, collecting CS particles, dodging and rolling, and performing special attacks. You also need to use healing items which must be consumed while standing still, leaving you open to attack, and you are restricted in the amount of healing items you can consume and how many cups of wishes you can use to revive fallen allies.
In order to defeat Anise, you need to systematically destroy elemental crystals to dispel her corresponding elemental attack, attacks to reduce her onslaught and give you chance to actually attack her, instead of always being on the move to avoid the constant attacks you are bombarded with.
Anise can also teleport, which means that even when you get a chance to attack her, she can disappear and reappear elsewhere in the battle arena, which can be pretty frustrating. Once you have finally defeated her, she transforms into a second form Dragon Anise, a level 76 boss in true JRPG style.
By this point you will find you are running low on items to assist you, but all is not lost. I defeated Anise's second form of a dragon with just Duran, while Hawkeye and Reese lay dead on the battlefield. Just be sure to avoid the red impact areas. Quick tip, if you find that you are underleveled to face Anise the Witch, but are stuck in Anise's stockade not wanting to leave, because, let's face it, it's a huge fortress, then you can farm item seeds from enemies nearby and plant them in magic pots. If you are lucky, you might get XP boosting cookies, which really makes a difference when grinding.
So there we have it. There's our top picks of 5 of the most difficult optional bosses. We know there are a lot of other optional bosses that we haven't included in this list, so let us know in the comments which boss battle gave you gamer rage.
I have previously uploaded Things I Wish I Knew Before Playing videos on Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Trials of Mana, God of War and Ni no Kuni, so if you haven't seen those, be sure to check them out for useful tips and tricks. I've been Heather.
And I've been Craig.
This is Amalgamingle, and thank you very much for watching.